The rain fell in sheets, turning the mountain road into a blur of shadows and silver. Mia drove slowly, gripping the steering wheel as thunder cracked overhead. She had spent the day volunteering at a remote clinic, helping villagers after a landslide. Now, as darkness swallowed the forest, she only wished to reach home before midnight. But fate had other plans. A flash of lightning illuminated something, or someone, lying on the side of the road. Mia slammed on the brakes, heart pounding. She hesitated for a moment, fear creeping in, but compassion overruled it. She grabbed her umbrella and stepped out into the storm. There, sprawled on the wet ground, was a man, unconscious, pale, his clothes torn and soaked in blood. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Sir, can you hear me?" He didn't respond. His pulse was faint, but there. Without thinking, Mia dragged him toward her car, struggling under his weight. She didn't know who he was or what had happened, but she couldn't leave him there to die. At her small cottage by the edge of the woods, Mia cleaned his wounds and wrapped him in blankets. His face, even in pain, was striking. Sharp jawline, strong brows, and lips that seemed too calm for someone barely clinging to life. When he finally stirred, hours later, his voice was low and hoarse. "Where? Am I?" "You're safe," Mia said softly. "You were hurt. I found you on the road." He looked at her for a long moment, as if trying to remember something lost. "You saved me," he murmured, before his eyes closed again. Mia sat beside him all night, unaware that the moment she pulled him from the storm, her life story had just changed forever. The days that followed felt strangely peaceful for Mia. Ever since she found Ethan, her once quiet, solitary life had become unexpectedly warm. Her small cottage, once filled only with the sounds of rustling trees and the hum of her old radio, was now alive with the soft rhythm of shared moments. Each morning, she brewed 2 cups of coffee instead of 1. Ethan would sit by the window, sunlight spilling over his dark hair, as he gazed into the forest, lost in thought. There was something haunting about the way he looked out there, as if he was searching for something, or someone. He couldn't quite remember. "Does it feel familiar?" Mia asked one morning, setting his cup beside him. Ethan turned, offering a faint smile. "Everything feels both new and familiar. It's like walking into a dream you once had and realizing it's real." Mia smiled, though she couldn't ignore the twinge in her heart. Ever since she met him, she too had been dreaming. Fragments of another life, filled with light, laughter, and a man with the same gray eyes as Ethan. She didn't tell him. Not yet. That afternoon, while she was hanging laundry outside, she found Ethan sitting on the porch steps, staring at an object in his hands. The sunlight glinted off something metallic. "What's that?" she asked, walking closer. But Ethan didn't laugh. He looked at her for a long time, his gaze steady and unreadable. "No," he said softly. "It's more than that. It's like I've been waiting for you, long before I even knew your name." Mia's heart raced. The world suddenly too quiet around them. The wind paused. The trees stilled. She forced a smile. "You don't even remember where you came from. Maybe your mind is still recovering." "Maybe," he replied, but there was something in his tone that said he didn't believe that. That night, Mia couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching the rain fall. The pendant lay on her table, gleaming faintly under the light. She reached for it, tracing the engraved letters. "Forever. Yours, E." "E," she whispered. "Ethan." The moment she said his name, a sudden warmth spread through her chest. Images flashed in her mind. Her standing by a lake under a crimson sky, a man's voice calling her name, his hand reaching for hers. "Elara." She gasped, the name echoing inside her head. It wasn't hers, yet somehow it felt like it had always been. Her heart pounded. She pressed a hand to her chest and closed her eyes, letting the memories unfold. A life long ago, a promise made beneath the stars. Even if death parts us, I will find you again. The voice was his, Ethan's. The next morning she found him in the garden, helping her replant the herbs that the storm had scattered. His hands, though still healing, were steady and gentle. The sight made her chest ache in a way she couldn't explain. "You're up early," she said, trying to sound normal. He smiled faintly. "Couldn't sleep. I had dreams again." Her heart skipped. "What kind of dreams?" He hesitated, then said quietly, "Of a woman by a lake. She looked just like you. Her name was Alara." Mia froze. Her breath caught in her throat. He continued, unaware of the storm his words caused. "She wore a silver pendant. This one." He held it up, the morning sun glinting off its surface. "In the dream, I told her I'd find her again, no matter how many lifetimes it took." Mia's knees felt weak. "Ethan, that's impossible. Maybe it's just your mind trying to make sense of everything." He looked at her then, eyes dark and intense. "Is it? Or maybe it's the truth. Maybe we're remembering something our souls already know." The rest of the day passed in uneasy silence. Mia tried to focus on her chores, but her thoughts kept circling back to his words, and to the name, Alara. That night, she stood outside, looking at the stars. She thought about the man sleeping inside her home, the stranger she saved without hesitation. Why did she feel like she had known him forever? Why did her heart ache every time she looked at him, as if afraid of losing him all over again? Then she heard the soft creak of the door. Ethan stepped out, his expression calm, but his eyes full of emotion. "I didn't mean to scare you earlier," he said softly, "but there's something about this place, about you. It feels like I've already lived this moment once before." Mia's lips trembled. "I feel it too," she whispered, "and it terrifies me." He stepped closer, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Don't be afraid, Mia. Whatever this is, maybe it's fate reminding us of something we've forgotten." For a moment, they stood under the moonlight, the distance between them dissolving into the night. Neither spoke, but both knew. Something ancient was awakening between them. And as the wind rustled through the trees, the pendant around Ethan's neck glowed faintly, its silver surface reflecting not just the moonlight, but the echoes of a love that had lived, died, and returned again. Ethan and Mia spent more time together. They walked through the woods, shared stories, and sometimes sat in silence, feeling an invisible thread connecting them. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, Ethan touched her hand gently. "Do you believe in fate?" Mia looked at him. "I believe. Some people are meant to find each other, no matter how much time passes." Ethan smiled. "Then maybe you already know the truth." He kissed her then, softly at first, then deeply, with a passion that felt older than time itself. The air seemed to shimmer around them, the same golden light from her dreams returning, wrapping them both in warmth. When they parted, Mia's eyes glistened with tears. "What's happening to us?" Ethan whispered. "We're remembering." The days turned cool as autumn settled over the mountains. The leaves around Mia's cottage burned in shades of crimson and gold, swirling in the wind like sparks from an unseen fire. It had been nearly 2 months since that fateful night when she saved Ethan, yet every moment still felt unreal, as if life before him had been nothing more than a dream. But lately, strange things had been happening. Ethan had begun to remember more, flashes of places he'd never been in this lifetime, names and faces that no longer existed. and memories of a woman he loved centuries ago. Mia listened quietly every time he shared them, her heart caught between fear and fascination, because deep down, she knew those visions mirrored her own. That morning, as golden light spilled through the window, Ethan sat at the table, sketching something in an old notebook. Mia brought him tea, curious. "What are you drawing?" she asked softly. He turned the notebook toward her. It was a perfect sketch of a lake surrounded by towering trees, the water shimmering beneath a sunset sky. But it wasn't any lake from around here. Mia froze. "That's the lake from my dreams." Ethan looked up, startled. "You've seen it too?" She nodded slowly. "Every night. I stand by the shore, and someone calls my name, Ilara." Ethan closed the notebook and looked out the window, eyes distant. "I don't remember everything yet, but I know this. I promised you I'd find you again. And somehow, that promise brought me back here." Later that afternoon, Ethan suggested they visit the deeper part of the mountain forest, beyond the trail. "There's something there," he said, "something calling to me." They packed a small bag and set off as the sunlight filtered through the trees, painting everything in gold and green. The forest felt alive. Every step seemed guided, every path strangely familiar. After an hour, they reached an open clearing. In the distance shimmered a lake, still and blue as glass. Mia's breath hitched. "This is it," she whispered. "The one from my dreams." Ethan walked to the edge of the water, kneeling down. His reflection rippled on the surface, but then another reflection appeared beside it. A woman in a flowing white gown, her hair long and loose, her face unmistakably Mia's. Mia gasped. The image faded as quickly as it appeared. Ethan turned to her, eyes wide. "Did you see that?" She nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "It was me, but not me. Ilara." Then the memories came flooding back, vivid and unstoppable. She remembered standing on this very shore lifetimes ago, wearing that same white dress, holding Aaron's hand as war raged beyond the mountains. "You were leaving," she whispered, trembling. "You went to fight for our people. I begged you not to go." Ethan's voice broke as the same memory returned to him. "And I promised I'd return to you. But when I came back, you were gone." Mia looked at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I waited for you every sunset by this lake, until the day I died." He stepped forward, cupping her face gently, his voice trembling. "And I swore that no matter how many lives it took, I'd find you again. Even death couldn't stop me." The air shimmered around them, a soft golden glow rising from the water, wrapping them in warmth. The pendant Ethan wore began to glow faintly, matching the color of the setting sun. Mia touched it gently. "This was yours then, wasn't it?" Ethan nodded. "You gave it to me before I left. You said it would bring me back to you." As he spoke, a gentle wind stirred, and for a brief moment, the world around them seemed to shift, the forest fading, replaced by another time. The ruins of an ancient village stood where trees had been, and faint echoes of laughter and music filled the air. Mia and Ethan were no longer standing as strangers of this century, but as Ilara and Aaron, reunited after lifetimes apart. She looked up at him, her voice trembling with awe. "We found each other again." He smiled, brushing away her tears. "We always do." He leaned forward and kissed her, a kiss filled with centuries of longing, heartbreak, and reunion. The light around them grew brighter, wrapping them in radiance until everything else disappeared. When they finally broke apart, the world had returned to normal. The forest, the lake, the fading light. But something inside both of them had changed. From that day on, Ethan and Mia didn't question fate anymore. They stayed in the cottage by the forest, tending to the garden, sharing laughter and quiet evenings by the fire. Sometimes they would walk to the lake together and watch the sun set, their fingers intertwined, the pendant glimmering softly between them. And on calm nights, when the moon hung high, they would both feel that golden warmth again, as if the universe itself was whispering, "Love never dies. It only waits to be found again." Years later, as they grew old together, Mia once said with a gentle smile, "Do you think we'll find each other again in the next life?" Ethan kissed her hand and whispered, "We always do. And I'll keep finding you, in every lifetime, in every world, until eternity forgets how to count." And when their time finally came, it was not an ending. It was a circle completed, because somewhere beyond the stars, two souls once again found their way to each other, drawn together by the one truth that never fades, that love, when it is destined, always finds its way home. Hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to our channel. Your participation is essential so that we can continue to bring you more incredible stories. Share it with your friends to help our channel grow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.